UFO behind us.
That was a pretty good plan.
Firewall VR is a game that may have easily slipped under your radar whether you're into VR or not, and I believe this is one of the best VR experiences, if not the best online multiplayer shooter for VR currently out on the market. I'm going to give you my opinions and I'm going to fill you in on everything you need to know about Firewall 0 Hour. So Rainbow Six Siege Firewall VR is a 4v4 team-based multiplayer shooter. It's pretty much your standard attack defense affair. One team has a laptop they have to protect, putting up jammers to scramble the signal up, and one team has to infiltrate the building to take down the enemies and hack the laptop. As of right now, this is the only game mode, and the game's played through 5-minute sessions. The game is either played with the DualShock or the aim controller. All of my gameplay sessions have been with the aim controller, so that is the only perspective that I currently have on it. And from a gameplay standpoint, I have to say that I am honestly impressed with how they pulled this off. The gameplay feels easy to get used to, but still leaves a lot of room for you to get your ass kicked if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. The game kind of has this barrier perimeter thing that it works off of, so it's really easy to keep yourself within that range. A grid will pop up and it'll actually show you the exact location of your camera, if so you need to reset that. This is a game that you can actually play fairly easy if you were sitting in a swivel chair or standing up. Either way, it doesn't really matter. This isn't like super hot VR where you have to have a ton of space and you're going to be moving your entire body like a contortionist. It's very easy to stand up and play through. The game focuses more on your gun accuracy and head movements more so than it does your actual body movement. So things such as crouching and quick turning work through a button, and I'd say it works pretty good. You may notice in some of my gameplay I'm instantly snapping from corner to corner, and that's because I have quick turn enabled. If you like smooth turning where the turning is a little more gradual, then you can also enable that. I have to give special mention that they actually enable left hand shooting. I noticed when I first picked the game up it looked a little awkward, but that was because I was set to right hand while I was holding it in my left hand, but thankfully they actually enabled that for us left hand people. I would say from a control standpoint they pretty much give you every adjustment that you need to play this game comfortably. Everything feels pretty tight and every button works about as the way you would expect it to. One thing to note, in the tutorial it's pretty bare bones. They don't tell you things about crouching or how you can actually set your gun up against railings, but it's nothing too crazy. Also, if you enable a laser sight you push it on the directional pad. Just a little tip for you guys. But if you've played a VR shooter before, it works pretty much as you would expect. Aiming down sights is done by actually putting the gun up to your head. Reloading is done by putting the gun down to your hip. If you've played a VR game before, I wouldn't say that there's a huge learning curve to it other than just your sheer accuracy and use of teamwork. Speaking of teamwork, it is pretty much the lifeline of this game. If you're more of a single player person and you don't have much of an interest in communication, you may not enjoy this game so much. I would say that most of the fun that I've had in this game was due to the team that I was communicating with. Basically, if you don't use a mic, I pretty much just back out and find another game. Feel free to turn on some music and just run around and spray and pray, but you're probably going to get rolled over if you're playing against a team using efficient communication.
That was a pretty good plan.
Communication works within proximity. In other words, if your teammates are across the map, they won't be able to hear you talking. If they're behind a wall, you're not going to hear them as well.
I've never gone down the sides. I've always had some kind of sight, man.
You didn't like that there, T?
However, when you die, you essentially play as a security camera for your team, being able to look through different hallways and crevices in the map. And while you're in the security camera mode, you essentially have no proximity chat. You can actually just call out to your teammates and they'll hear you perfectly fine. There will be multiple instances where you're the last person on the game and you're getting cornered by multiple enemies and you have to know where these enemies are at.
Behind you.
Oh, wow, beautiful. I got an assist.
Right there. Keep going, right there.
Yeah, way to go, Endless.
How many are left?
That's it.
If you're playing as the defense team, you'll hold down the position around the laptop, setting up traps and anything else you can do to stop the other team from reaching it. Depending on your rank and your loadout, you'll also have options to use signal jammers, which you can hide in multiple spots of the map, so even if your team is completely eliminated, they won't actually be able to hack the laptop and win the round unless they find and delete these jammers. Things like door barricades and trip mines are just a few of the ways you can prevent the attacking team from pushing on. The gameplay is varied across a handful of maps. Hopefully there will be more more coming with future updates, but it's pretty good variation to keep you playing for a while. The games definitely vary from game to game depending on how your team plays. This combined with the different variations of laptop placements you can get in these maps will keep you interested for quite a while. Also keeping you playing for a while is the progression system, which is probably the most controversial part of this game. As a new player, you won't be unlocking items for quite a while. The game is a serious grind. This is obviously incentive to keep you playing over time. I've been playing for a few weeks now and I'm still only level 13, and I believe the level goes up to maybe level 50, so I got quite a ways to go. I don't think you start unlocking guns till maybe around level 12 or level 8, I don't remember, but it does take a while to unlock anything in this game. With that being said, from my experience, I haven't found anything to be too terribly unbalanced, so if you're playing with higher level characters, you're really not going to run into too many issues, but to some people the progression system may seem a little frustrating. Your progression is tied through a class creation system, which is pretty much your standard class creation system. You can unlock new guns, attachments for the guns, equipment, etc, etc. If you're concerned about the amount of content in this game, I promise you there's a lot to keep you playing for a while.
They completely did not expect a guy completely in hot pink come up the stairs beside them and shoot them. Both of them.
You also have an option to select a contractor throughout each game you play, which is essentially basically like a perk. One contractor will give you an extra grenade, or one contractor will take less bullet damage, one contractor will see things from a further distance, etc, etc, that type of thing. It's pretty standard. If you're playing with a team that knows what they're doing, it would be beneficial to have a multitude of different contractors on one team, but it's nothing that's really going to break your experience if you don't have the certain contractor for the certain map. Kind of just varies on your play style. Whew, okay, we've covered the basics, but what does any of this matter if the gameplay is shit, right? Well, I'm happy to report it's a damn fun game. The time to kill is pretty damn spot on. It doesn't feel like it's too long, but it also gives you the option to have your teammates revive you if you get down by a cheap kill. The experience in this is just something that is kind of hard to describe if you've never played VR. It's really a unique experience that can only be done in a game like this. You can peek around corners, you can shoot your gun behind walls. Doing something as simple as blind firing is something that's completely different in a game like this. When you're playing your average first-person shooter, you have a fixed camera. You can't look around in a 3D space. You can't move your gun around and be accurate. You're just basically looking at this flat image, but in VR all of that changes. There's just this real sense of depth and sense of presence in the world that you can't get from a standard game. And if you don't even have a VR setup, I highly encourage you to find a way to try it out. Maybe buy it from Target and just return it if you don't like it. I didn't tell you that. I can't tell you how many countless times I've played games with people and they're like, this really kind of ruins normal first-person shooters for me. It's hard to go back to it. I can't stress enough how underrated I think this game is. I remember talking to my dad about this when I first actually bought VR for him for Christmas. Yes, all of the tech demos and job simulators and all of that are really cool. There's nothing like when you put that headset on for the first time and you feel yourself in that 3D space. It's amazing. But for the longest, virtual reality has just kind of lacked that hardcore online first-person shooter. That hardcore game with that competitive aspect that keeps you coming back every single day to play the same maps over and over and over. That game that you just want to keep getting better at, be the best at, and just immerse yourself in this realistic 3D space. And I really think that this game nails it. Sure, the game may have its bugs, it may have its flaws, but I don't think that that really takes away from the core experience that this game offers. It's just something unique, and it's not like anything else that's out right now. And I think the developers have done an amazing job bringing this experience over to something such as PlayStation VR. With that being said, I think we do have to be unbiased here, and we got to talk about a few of the caveats of this game. The game can definitely look a little blurry at times, as with a lot of PlayStation VR games. As we know, the PS4 isn't the most powerful piece of hardware. While PlayStation VR is the cheapest and most accessible way to play VR, it definitely still just doesn't have the horsepower of a high-end gaming rig, but again, obviously that isn't the point. I can't lug an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive over to my girlfriend's house and set it up within a couple of minutes. But while the game can look a little blurry at times, I still think it's a damn good looking game. Honestly, I was extremely impressed that they were able to get this amount of visual fidelity out of a game for PlayStation VR. Once you're in and you've been playing for a few hours, you just kind of forget about it because it's so damn fun. But that's when you do get into a game. See, The next issue I gotta bring up is the connection problems. If you've played this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Basically, it works off of a host that joins the lobby, and if that host that's in your game leaves, then it disconnects the entire game. It doesn't matter if it's in the pre-game lobby or if you're in the middle of a game, it just cuts it off just like that.
Let's see if I could get a game without the host leaving.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've been having like tons of network issues the past 10 minutes. I've not been able to get a game going.
I end up killing like half the team with a grenade last game, and they quit. The host quit. It was a bummer. I didn't even get the win yet.
Yeah, I had a host quit after my last game, but then I've not been able to get back in. I keep having network connection issues and all this other stuff.
There really needs to be some kind of host migration system in progress. It's too easy for people to just drop out of the game and cut it off for everybody. I just feel like there's this glitchiness with the servers throughout the entire game, whether it's playing with a host or navigating through the menus. There's always just these slight hiccups here and there. I'll find myself just getting disconnected for no reason and spending more time waiting than I am playing, and that's a big disappointment, but it is something that has to be brought up. Another issue kind of pertaining to connectivity is people going AFK to rank up. If you're the host, you could basically just leave your game running for infinity, and you'll sit here and you'll rank up points while you're not even playing. There's no kick system in progress, so if you're just sitting and you're completely inactive for 5, 10, 30 minutes, it won't kick you from the game. That's a huge issue, but I feel like that's something that could easily be fixed in a patch. Finally, let's go ahead and talk about the value of this game. I think it's running for about $33 right now, which is pretty much your standard VR game price. Not too expensive. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. If you're looking for an online multiplayer shooter for your PlayStation VR, this is the game. Just go ahead and pick it up. If you haven't picked up an aim controller or this game, you can get a bundle right now, and it's only like $70, which is a pretty good deal. But I think if you're looking for that competitive multiplayer shooter that VR has been lacking for some time, this is definitely gonna fill that void. I'm gonna be spending a lot more time on it, and hopefully the devs will keep updating it and making it even better. I can't stress to you enough how fun this game actually is. If you've never played VR before, it's kind of gonna be hard to put it in perspective if you've never seen the games through the 3D lenses of that headset. But just know, if you like VR games and you've been looking for a competitive multiplayer shooter, this does it pretty damn well. And that's what I'm gonna end this video on. I put together a little montage right now so you guys can watch that now. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe like it. If you want to see me cover more VR stuff, be sure to let me know. I'm gonna cut the video here. It's been C. I'm gonna go play some more Firewall. This game's fucking awesome.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, go!
Let me get another cup, please. I ain't driving home, so you can have my keys. Got a bunch of tricks all hidden in my sleeve, so I'ma get drunk, won't be leaving till 3. Yeah, I got a reputation of getting wasted. Everything in sight, homie, we ain't trying to save shit. Leave the spot dizzy, so no, I can't see, bitch. Sexy bartenders always get a really mean tip. Life's so good, please enjoy it. End of every night when your head's in the toilet. Yeah, we party hard, give a fuck about employment. Kill the whole bottle, we'll be spinning like a coin flip.
Prevent hostile data hack. Easy peasy.
Mwah. Mwah.
Oh man.
Mwah.
Yeah, we ain't going home no time soon. I'm on shot number 4 times 2. Stand by the keg, let the host find you. Getting nice, I'll be up all night. All night. I ain't got shit to do. Tomorrow we up all night. I ain't got shit to do tomorrow. Tomorrow we up all night. I ain't got shit to do tomorrow. Tomorrow we up all night. I ain't got shit to do tomorrow. Tomorrow we up all night. Drink, 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 drink. We can't no more. We gon' drink, 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 drink. We can't no more. Head start spinning and my legs get wobbly. Every morning wake up, liquor in my coffee. Yeah, I'm tryna party, find an open house crib. Screw the law, we just a motherfucking kids. Never listen to nobody who was tryna tell me no. 'Cause I got no problem being way out of control. Got these ladies going crazy at every single show. But you ain't drunk enough until you taking off your clothes.
I gotta make sure that I make no more babies.